Hello and welcome to the United on Wheels podcast. How are you? I am Paul Amadeus Lane, and I am so happy to be with you on our show today. We have a fantastic special guest that's going to give us his perspective on the Paralympic Games. And he's really an expert on this. Why? Because he's a former Paralympic champion, gold medalist. So we're going to hear his story and we're going to find out what it takes to be a Paralympic athlete and much, much more. So before we begin, I want to tell you about our amazing website, unitedspinal.org. It's a website, one-stop shop for all your needs out there. If you want to find out about our 75th anniversary, got you covered. Want to find out about our events coming up, got you covered. Want to find out how you can take action and partner with us, got you covered. Want to take the corporate challenge? Hey, do that. It talks about building an inclusive and diverse workforce together. Do that. And if you want to find out ways you can give and help us out, we got you covered too. This website is awesome. It is amazing. I visited a couple of times today because it's so nice and so awesome. And there's ways that you can enter a contest and win some cool prizes too. Yeah. So you don't want to miss that. Without any further delay, let's bring on our very, very special guest. I am so happy to have with me right now former U.S. Paralympian, the great Seth McBride. Seth, what is up, bro? How are you?
I'm doing well, Paul. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Hey, so great to have you, Seth. We wanted to have you on for a number of reasons. Number one, you're part of the United Spinal Association family, but also, being a former Paralympian too, you have a unique perspective about the games and everything and what it takes to be a Paralympian and everything. So thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule.
Yeah, of course. No problem.
So Seth, before we talk about your Olympic journey and what led you to that, let's first find out a little more about you. Now, you were born in Alaska. And Seth, did you spend a lot of time in Alaska or were you just born there?
No, so I was born in Seattle, but just for about 2 months after I was born, my parents moved back up to Alaska, in Southeast Alaska, Juneau, Alaska. So I spent basically my whole childhood there up until I went off to college. I went back there every summer until about 2005, 2006. After I graduated college, I moved to Portland, Oregon.
All right. So what was life like growing up in Alaska? Now, was that before your injury or after your injury?
Most of it was before. So I got injured when I was 17 in a skiing accident when I was skiing down at Whistler, British Columbia in the summertime, and got in an accident doing backflips there. And so I was in between my junior and senior year of high school when I got hurt. So most of the time growing up in Alaska was pre-injury.
And Seth, was Alaska accessible? How were you able to navigate through that, being a wheelchair user?
Yeah, I mean, it's not easy for sure. I would say that for the most part, the only real difficulties is wintertime because depending on the year, we get a lot of snow up there and it's usually pretty wet and sticky. So trying to get out of your car, push around the snow is always a pain, especially when there's a lot of it. So that was one of the things I actually determined where I went to school. Is I was looking at whether to go to school in Oregon or in Montana, and I decided I couldn't handle any more snowy winters, so I went to school down in Oregon. Otherwise, Alaska's actually not bad. Physical access and stuff, a lot of places are ramped. It isn't too bad, Spend a lot of time outside, so I needed some wide, knobby mountain bike tires and whatnot to move around on the dirt, but other than that, it was pretty much just winter times that was the struggle.
So you went on to be an Oregon Duck. So what was that like? Life on campus as a wheelchair user? And Seth, if you can maybe let the audience know what's the level of your injury?
Yeah, so I'm a C7-8 quad. Basically, I've got weak hands, don't have much other than like some tenodesis grip, but fairly strong arms, so able to push around and whatnot, but fairly minimal hand function.
All right, thank you so much for sharing that with us, Seth. And what What was life like on campus?
Eugene was great. I had a blast there. I had my best friend from Alaska. We ended up deciding to go to school at U of O independently of each other, but wound up there together. So I had a good friend going down, which was nice. My freshman year, I lived in a dorm on campus, an accessible dorm. It was a good setup. I mean, it was, that was the first time I'd lived independently after my accident. So it was a lot of getting used to figuring out how to do things on your own. But, campus was great. I had a ton of really good friends down there who were sort of willing to help me out with whatever I need and figure things out as we went. So I really couldn't have asked for a better college experience.
And Seth, how did you adjust after post injury? Because I know I was injured when I was 22, and it took me a while to really get my focus and what I really wanted to do. And Seth, did you deal with a similar mindset like that, or when you got injured, you're like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. You mind sharing that with us?
Yeah, I mean, no, I really didn't have any idea what I wanted to do when I got hurt. My only plan when I got hurt was to go to Lake Tahoe Community College so I could keep skiing. And it kind of injury shot that out of the water a little bit. But, growing up, I guess just my personality, growing up in Alaska, playing out around outside a lot. I was a really independent kid growing up. So that was my primary motivation after I got injured, was just figuring out how to be independent, live independently again, still be able to sort of go outside and play and have fun. So I didn't know what I wanted to do as far as career or anything, but I had planned on going to college, and it was sort of my goal, in that 1 year after I got hurt, to figure out what I needed to do to be able to still go off and do that. And
so, what would you say was the most challenging part of being a wheelchair user, and how did you overcome that challenge? Because you lived as a person who didn't have a disability for about 17 years, and then when you became a member of the disabled community, what were some of the challenges that you saw, and how did you overcome those challenges? Because you are a determined, you are a focused person, so the challenges that you saw, how did you overcome them?
I mean, there's, like anybody who gets hurt, there's a lot of them. I think one of the hardest things for me was just figuring out how to learn how to be independent, how to, take help when you need it, but also be able to struggle through things. Because, when you get hurt, like I had to have a conversation with my parents about, if I need help, I'll ask for it, and don't give me help just because I look like I'm struggling, which was always, otherwise, how am I going to learn how to do anything? And fortunately, they were super supportive and, would sort of sit in the other room with their hands under their butts while I was cussing, trying to get dressed or getting frustrated doing whatever. But they gave me the space to learn how to do things on my own. And I was always, maybe being an athlete and growing up, just a little bit self-motivated. So it was really about having the space to figure out how to do things on my own. And, it always drove me nuts when I was at school or around other people. And, they see a wheelchair user and people always assume you need some help. But how are you going to figure out how to do things on your own if you always have people helping you? So it was learning to speak up and tell people, no, I got it. I'm okay. Because I was always a pretty quiet person. So figuring out how to speak up for myself a little bit and, give myself the space to learn.
Yeah, I definitely get that too. I think I went through that mindset as well. And then, what I started to do was, I would always, and you probably did this as well, Seth, I would thank the person for having the humanity enough to even ask if I needed help. But I would let them, no, I got that, because, in this world we have so much negativity, and to see someone show some humanity, to just want to help someone out. It was kind of refreshing, to see something like that, but teaching them that balance, like, no, if we need help, we're going to ask, but I appreciate you offering. And I noticed that we have this new dynamic with ones who view us in the community now, and they'll speak up now for us. And no, he'll let you know if you need help. So we're able to teach ones how to react with our community, so that we appreciate, but we got it, and we're gonna teach you how to how to work with us and everything. And if we need help, trust me, we're gonna let you know when you, because there's some areas we do need help in, and we're gonna definitely let you know that. But I definitely get you on that.
Yeah, for sure.
Everything. And what now led you, Seth, to start playing wheelchair rugby? How did that come about?
Yeah, so I was really just looking for something active to do. So I grew up, playing team sports when I was younger, through basically all the way through middle school, playing, football, basketball, soccer, whatever, just about everything during those early years. And then I started doing a lot more outdoor sports when I was in high school. So skiing, rock climbing, mountain biking, stuff like that. So was always an active kid and sort of defined myself by that. So after I got hurt, I was just looking for something active to do. I was super competitive. So I've been hand cycling a little bit, but didn't really feel competitive with that, and was looking for something, where I could be competitive with the amount of function I had. And there really weren't that many options out there at that point. This was, 2001, 2002. So I was looking around online and came across the United States Quad Rugby Association webpage, and they had this highlight video that was from the gold medal game of the Sydney Paralympics, and it was just eye-opening. There was this guy, Steve Pate, in there who was flying around with his long blonde hair, just crashing into people, knocking people over, looking super intense. He's actually one of my good friends now. And, there's 10,000 people in the stands screaming. And I was just like, wow, that looks pretty cool. So I started looking around, and there was a local team just about an hour and a half up the road out of Portland, and they actually practiced even closer to me. So I called the coach up, and he told me to come out to practice. And that's the sort of short story of how I got hooked.
I love it. And then that parlayed into you, really being a major athlete, in the Paralympic world, and also in the wheelchair rugby world. And when did you know that you would be a part of, or what did it take for you to be a part of the national team and then the Paralympic team? What did you have to do to get that opportunity? How did that come about?
Yeah, I mean, really, it took me a few years of playing recreationally and having fun with it, and otherwise being a college student, so not really taking it that seriously. I was traveling a bit through school and just having fun. And then I went to a couple of national tournaments with the team and wasn't really playing that much, but saw what high-level rugby looked like, and then sort of saw the amount of work that it took for guys to get to that level. And I sort of, playing a little bit and having talks with teammates, I sort of realized that I could maybe get to that level if I wanted to, but it was going to take a ton of work. And so the mindset shift from being just a recreational athlete to actually going and training on my own and working at it really is what brought me deeper into that world of top level athletics, and was super rewarding. So a couple of, maybe a year or two after I really started taking it seriously, there was a big changeover in the US team. The Athens team got bronze, and that was a big disappointment. If any of you have ever seen Murder Ball, it was chronicled there. And there was quite a few guys that retired after that. So in 2005, there was a developmental team that I got invited to tryouts for, and sort of got my foot in the door on the U.S. team that way.
Now you are part of the national team, and para being invited to the Paralympics. What was that experience like? Traveling, and was the Olympic Village? Is it the same as the Olympic villages that athletes who are not disabled? Was it the same village, and was it wheelchair accessible when you first went? Share that with us if you don't mind.
Yeah, I mean, traveling with rugby is an awesome experience, a great way, especially for guys who, maybe have a little less function than me and have never, can't necessarily travel internationally independently. It's awesome to be able to go and see the world with the sort of support you need to be able to go and see it. I always used rugby as a way to go see the world after our competitions were done. So like the first major competition I went to was in New Zealand and got to spend a month there after the fact, traveling around with my sister, and just had a blast seeing New Zealand, and otherwise never would have made it because I definitely didn't have any money for international plane tickets at that point. So in addition to, the sport, it's just a great way to sort of learn a lot of other things about life in a wheelchair. And then, Paralympics is a whole different experience because, like you said, we're in the same Olympic village as, the traditional Olympics. What usually happens is Olympics happen, and then there's 2 weeks where they sort of change everything over, and then Paralympics come into town, and it's basically the same protocol for everything, just with para athletes, adaptive athletes. So it's, same facilities, same sort of time schedules. We went to Beijing, and it was my first Paralympics, and they were just super into it. The amount of people there who were, cheering and helping and being a part of it. It was a really eye-opening experience, feeling like you're just part of something much bigger than you, and much bigger than just your sport.
Yeah. That had to be a pretty amazing experience in China, and just experiencing just kind of a different environment. And you talked about how ones are really into it, and that brings up another question. It seems like here in the States that we haven't caught on to how awesome these events are, and seeing ones who have different challenges out there being able to compete, no matter where a person lives or what country, is just to celebrate these accomplishments right here. And Seth, why do you think that there seemed to be a disconnect here? Because I know this past Paralympics that was here, that just happened in Japan. Here in the United States, it wasn't a lot of coverage for it. Well, where do you watch these games? How can we do it? Why do you think there's a disconnect there with the major sports media out there not really using their platform to highlight this? Instead, they rather have shows where people argue, talk about nonsense, who's the greatest football player, basketball player, instead of really focus on the awesome athletes that come from our community.
That's a really hard question, and it's one a lot of people have been trying to crack for a long time. I think part of it is just how the media, sports media in general, tends to operate in the U.S. We, with sports stories, lots of times, even wheelchair sports or adaptive sports, which the media tends to focus on those sort of human interest stories and, the things other than the actual sport. Not only, plays into stereotypes of disabilities and, creates its own problems. I think some of the countries that have the best appreciation for adaptive sports that I've been to are like New Zealand. We went there, they had a super big rugby culture. So us coming down was like just more rugby athletes. Same thing with Britain. When we went to the Paralympics there, they just had a appreciation for adaptive sport as sport first, instead of focusing on the disability part of it. And I think that's what we're trying to get to in the US. We're starting to see it a little bit better. Tokyo still wasn't anything compared to like the media coverage in London, which was, just fantastic when we were there. That was really eye-opening, but it's starting to get better. This was the first time we've been able to see, Paralympic sport for every single day of the Paralympics, and people can turn on their TV and tune it in and actually see people competing, instead of just getting recap shows where they're focusing on, how people got hurt and how inspiring it is for them to be back up and competing again. I think the biggest thing for growing adaptive sport viewership in the US is just let people see the sport. Let them focus on the competition, what these athletes can do. I think the tide's slowly starting to change, but we still got a lot of work to do.
And I think too, Seth, they need more of us in those positions that can make those decisions in these media companies, because representation matters. If you and I are sitting at one of these major networks and we're part of the senior producing team, and we're like, hey, what should we show? We're gonna be like, hey, you need to show the Paralympics. Having our voice there matters because people think they know about us, but unless someone is there who is us, they're not gonna understand the struggle. They're not gonna understand just the amazing abilities that we have in these sports and how these sports are enjoyable to watch. Just as ones who are non-wheelchair users. Adaptive sports is definitely, going to take the media by storm if they just allow it to be shown and to see, some great competition out there. And ones like yourself, Seth, having the experience of being a Paralympian and 5-time gold medalist. I mean, your voice is like, it's so important, to get this going. And what's going to happen, Seth? The major media, they're going to miss the boat on this, and you're going to have like other companies who are now streaming, who have these major platforms going to swoop in and say, hey, we got you. And then major media going to be like, oh, we should have, Yeah. See, and that's what I love about the way technology is now, all these streaming formats now, all these different companies out there. And some of us are in positions of power in these companies now. And, we have each other's back. I mean, we are the most loyal consumers out there, 30%, that's our community out there. We are loyal. We tell others about what's going on. So I think as we band together as a community, we can make the change, and we're gonna be a force to reckon with. But I do appreciate some of the strides we've made already. But with all the different channels out there, there's no reason why we can't have, a 24-hour channel during the Paralympics, showing all day long, through the duration of the competition. That just baffles me, Seth.
Yeah, I mean, I think I will give NBC props this year for finally bringing in some really high-level adaptive athletes to be commentators on the sport, which I felt like really made a difference in the TV broadcast they did have. They had people like, Mark Zupan commentating rugby, Elena Nichols commentating basketball and rugby, some other, I believe Paul Schulte, who's a multi-time sort of Paralympic legend, commentating basketball. So that did, that did help, but I totally agree with your point that needs to be a sort of 24/7, 365 thing instead of just when the Paralympics are happening. If we actually get athletes, wheelchair users more behind the scenes, you can start getting a more authentic representation of what adaptive sports actually are.
Yeah, definitely. I know you have to have some experiences traveling abroad and being a part of the Paralympic team. Any cool stories you'd like to tell us about, just the experience? I know you kind of touched a little bit about being in Beijing and also New Zealand and things like that. So what are some other stories you want to share with us? Because we kind of nosy as a community too, so we want to know.
Oh man.
But I don't want to get you in trouble with your family though. So
I mean, some of the cool experiences, I'm trying to think. So I've actually written about this one, but I remember after Beijing, so we had won the gold medal in Beijing and then, went out as a team to have a good night the night after we won. And my then girlfriend, now wife, was there with my family and a whole bunch of friends. And, we had a big team party at a hotel, and I ended up staying at my girlfriend's hotel room that night. And in the morning we had to go back. I had to pack up some stuff. And so I was taking a cab back from the hotel to the Paralympic Village. And on this huge skyscraper in Beijing, they had this screen that was probably about 9 stories high in the width of the whole building that was broadcasting our gold medal game on the TV. And I just sort of got to watch it as I was driving by in the cab, and it was just a super surreal experience. I had another one like that in New Zealand where we were all in the hotel bar after the championship game, and they were, showing the game on TV, and it's those kind of experiences with your team, being able to celebrate, being able to see, other people enjoying your sport and seeing it for what it is just super rewarding. Traveling with a team full of quads is always funny. I remember one time we were going through the airport in Paris after a qualifier for the Rio Paralympics, and they've got these long moving walkways to get anywhere, and we had this line of quads on a moving walkway, and all of a sudden at the end of it, it starts going up at a pretty steep hill, and everybody sort of turns sideways, and then the guy right above from me starts slipping backwards, and he just knocked me over sideways, and we had a whole row of quads just go tumbling on the moving walkway. They had to stop the thing and us all cleaned up. It was a mess. That kind of stuff happens all the time when you get a group of quads together.
Wow, that's man. Those are memories, man. You're gonna cherish for a long time. And congratulations on expanding your family as well. Now, are you retired from competition now? Or are you going to get back into it?
No, I still play locally with my Portland team, but I am officially retired from international play. It's like any high level sport, it wears on your body a bit, and it's one of those more than a full-time job kind of thing. So I had some other goals in my life, starting a family, having a career now. So definitely don't have time for international rugby anymore. But I got to say, watching Paralympics, this was my first Paralympics since I started competing that I wasn't at, and I was definitely jonesing to be out there. But it was cool being able to watch the guys and see how well they competed this year.
That's cool. Where you gold medals at? Cause I know you're at a different location now. You got your gold medals in a case or what?
Yeah, they're sitting in cases in my office.
Nice.
I got one Paralympic gold medal, and we've got a couple of world championship wins. Otherwise, a bronze and a silver. So, it's cool. They're sort of tucked away. I hadn't brought him out for a while until my son wanted to see him. He's 4 now. So when Paralympics and Olympics were happening, he made me bust him out, and we were wearing him around the house a little bit. He was pretty cute. He definitely wanted to wear the gold medal instead of the silver or bronze.
The kid has taste, doesn't he? as exquisite taste.
Exactly.
And, when you look at just that experience right there, and able to share that with your son, and he's able to see your medals and things like that, that really has to warm your heart, and just those experiences. What type of advice, Seth, do you have for those who are pursuing adaptive sports and they aspire to be a part of the national team? They want to be a part of the Paralympics. What kind of advice do you have for once?
I mean, biggest advice I have for people who are starting out is work harder than you think you need to work. Like, it's so much of adaptive sports is, there's a talent component to it, but the people that make it to those high levels are the ones who are willing to work when nobody else is watching, who do all the little things, actually, focus on things like nutrition and whatnot. And, coaches see that kind of stuff. If you have an opportunity to be in front of people who are the decision makers, like for rugby, when we'd go to camps, and you've got young guys around, you can see who has an understanding of the game, and, people are coachable, but you can't really coach hard work. And coaches recognize that and they see that, so they're willing to take a chance on hard workers who might not, have experience or all the skills yet, but they know they can coach them and they know they're going to get consistent effort out of them. So that's always my biggest advice for young athletes is be willing to put in the work.
And lastly, Seth, did you bring your harmonica with you? Want to hear some of your?
Oh, you should have let me know. I did not bring the harmonica with me.
Well, next time we'll definitely do that because I heard you do some pretty mean stuff on that harmonica, man. So
I have fun with it. I haven't played it for a while. I've been busting it out a little bit with my son. He likes to play drums with me while I'm playing some harmonica. But
I love it. Now, you are part of the United Spinal Association family out there, and you mind sharing what you do at the United Spinal Association?
Yeah, so I'm an editor for New Mobility Magazine, which is the membership magazine of United Spinal. So we've got a great team over there. I believe you've talked with Ian for the show already, but lifestyle magazine for active wheelchair users. So we're really just trying to tell stories from our community, help share people's stories, help give people advice on how to live and thrive as a wheelchair user.
Awesome. You and Brooke and Ian both all live in the Portland, Oregon area. You guys make me want to move out there. I mean, what about Portland am I missing living in California? What am I missing out there, Seth?
Well, you're missing some rain. We do get some rain in Portland, but it makes it beautiful and green. We've got beautiful mountains, easy access to outdoor recreation. It's a cool city. It's got a ton of really good food, arts, just things happening. I actually moved about an hour east of Portland now, which is in the Columbia River Gorge area of Oregon, Washington. It's beautiful, but we just got a lot of pretty relaxed people who like to have fun.
Awesome. Well, Seth, before I let you go, anything else out there you'd like to tell the audience out there before I let you go and let you get back to chilling today?
I got not much else. Just thanks for watching. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. It's been fun talking with you.
Hey, same here, my friend. And when we have you back on again, you make sure you work out that harmonica. I think I want to have you do some old school hip hop on the harmonica. Can you do that for a brother?
All right. And you bring the beat. I'll try and keep up with it.
Let's do it. Wow. That was awesome talking to Seth McBride, hearing about his journey, what it took to be a Paralympic athlete. And did you listen closely? Maybe this is something that you would like to do. And Seth gave a lot of jewels of information on really what it takes, to make it to that level. I really enjoyed him opening up about his injury and what he's doing now for United Spinal Association. Just an amazing person, Seth. Thank you so much. And you, don't forget to go to our website, unitedspinal.org. You can find out how you can attend our 75th anniversary. Can you imagine 75 years United Spinal Association has been around and in existence? That is so awesome. You can find out about this amazing event. You can take action and partner with us. And don't forget that corporate challenge, how we can build an inclusive world together, and how you can partner with us and contact us with any questions. If you'd like to support us, it shows ways you can give and help us out. Thank you for tuning into the show. And in closing, I want to give a huge shout out to Deanna Fike. Deanna created these awesome, amazing thumbnails for the show. She did a fantastic job. Deanna, thank you so much. And my man, Tom Scott. Tom, thank you so much again for giving me this opportunity to be the host of United on Wheels. Really appreciate it. Looking for many more interviews and bringing awareness to our great community and our great organization. Thank you so much. And you, the listeners, the viewers who are watching this program, we thank you because it's about you and not about us. And remember, stay well, stay safe. And I love you guys to life. Take care.